respond back. So they've been
Good
doing a
morning.
heck of a job, and they're gonna keep it up.
Oh man, watching Sports Center.
Heard all the criticisms of your play, but you weren't going to let that
Oh,
affect
wow.
your confidence.
Cleveland
How
looked
did
like
you
a
feel
scary
today?
team, man.
It
They
seemed
can,
like the offense
even though
was
they
starting
lost
to
Nick
gel a
Chubb,
little bit as the game went on.
the way he looked yesterday, Deshaun Watson, and then you got Garrett.
The biggest thing for me, I'm not gonna make any excuses.
That's a scary
You
team,
gotta
man.
respond. And that's what I did this week. And
They can make some noise if they can, just keep this up. You like these way these teams play, they're gritty, they got a quarterback now that can, put up some points, man.
He had his best passing yardage,
He looked good yesterday. 289 yards, 2 TDs,
David,
no
let's
picks.
go back to Miami. Why not?
Good.
Dolphins hosting the Broncos. Mike McDaniel actually started his coaching career as a 22-year-old intern
this
with
is
the Broncos in
embarrassing, man.
2005. They
This
teased
shit
him,
here, man.
send him on one too many coffee runs. He put on a clinic
Oh,
in
my
motion
goodness,
at
man.
the snap. Tyreek Hill is an expert in motion after the snap. 54-yard
This is
touchdown
embarrassing,
connection
man.
with
My
Tua on
fucking
the third
Broncos,
offensive
man.
play. It is 7-0.
As soon as I turn this shit on,
After a
it
Denver
goes to
3-and-out,
this. Poor tackling.
Devon Achane finishes through contact.
What's going on with the
Tackling
defense,
not Denver
man?
Specialty in this one, 14-0 after one. After a Cortland Sutton touchdown, we got
Trick
a no-look
plays.
shovel pass with Tua's offhand in the second
A no-look
quarter
shovel
of a one-score
pass.
game. Achane makes it 21-7. Said it was video game
Shook
type
my
stuff. I
man.
don't know what button that is on your PlayStation controller. Believe
Just
it or
running
not, Miami was
poor
actually
missed
stopping
tackles.
Bills, had a turnover on down. They weren't
Missed
stopping
tackle.
Bills. Raheem Mostert, 20-yard touchdown run. Dolphins up 28-10. Defense did it too for Miami. Denver moved the ball
Gets the
all
ball.
right. They did get
He
the
fumbles.
20 points, but also
Sutton fumbles.
despite a touchdown catch, caught that up. Devon Holland forces
You
it.
can't win
Adrian
like
Nickel
this,
recovers,
man.
returns it 29 yards.
That
And
defensive
on the
coordinator
next
should have
play,
been
there's that motion
fired.
at the snap. Misdirection, Mostert. The second Miami running back with 2 touchdowns in the first 2 quarters. We got a
They
Congo
dancing
line.
and
We got
shit,
35
making
points
lines.
at recess.
He should have never even been live. Look, running over, nigga. Come on, man.
Dolphins at 42, ensuing Broncos drive. Sutton spins past Holland, great.
It's wide
but
open.
Loses track
got
of number
42
8, comes back to punch the ball out.
fumbles again.
Second fumble lost for Sutton.
He should have been
Dolphins
benched
put
after
on,
that.
Again, a clinic in that pre-snap motion. Mostert, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Poor tackle.
1 more receiving here.
Missed-
He had
oh, it
70
shook him.
receiving yards on
Missed
7
tackles.
grabs.
What the
Dolphins
hell,
49
man?
in the
Vance
third.
Joseph needs to be fired, man. He should have never left the field with this
Broncos
team.
drive. Come on, guys. Emmanuel Ogba falls in his lap.
Where's your
First
pride,
quarter,
man?
quarter, Sean Payton's petitioning for a running clock at this point. Another shovel pass to Achane. He had 2 receiving touchdowns, more to do on the
shit,
ground. We'll get to that, but that is a
This is
hazard.
disgusting, man.
David Lloyd or
Nasty
Bill Murphy
work,
can score
man.
on that play. It's 56. Tua had more touchdown passes for than
And he's still airing them. Oh, got one.
Mike White comes in. Can we wave the white flag? Chosen
This
Anderson.
nigga ran halfway across the field.
Robbie Anderson, 63-13.
This shit like Tecmo Bowl, man. Look at this shit.
Achane, 67
The
yards
Dolphins
here,
beat these
203
niggas
on
like
day 2
Tecmo Bowl,
rushing TDs.
70-20.
The Dolphins scored 10 touchdowns. They beat the Broncos 70-20 with standard scoring.
They're going to
No
Buffalo.
Stableford scoring.
They're going to Buffalo next week. The
was disgusting,
Commanders
man.
had won their first 2, but Bills cleaned their clocks and kept their
That was
all-white
disgusting,
leads clean
man.
in the process. Josh Allen had a far better day. And his
Sean
offense
Payton,
over Sam
man.
Howell. It's pressure here, and
You lost to
Barry Bernard with the sack. 9 sacks for the
you
Bills.
lost to the
in third most in
Washington,
the game.
whatever the hell their
6
names
sacks
is,
for track.
Commanders, right?
First back in 1963. Bernard had a day. Gets up and makes the pick there. First player to record 2
You
plus
lose
sacks and interception and
70-20.
fumble recovery in a game
That whole
since
staff should be
July
fired.
of 07. And Josh gave
Definitely in the defensive court. If I don't see a firing him today, come on, man.
Third quarter.
I'm a Bronco fan because of Elway.
Man is trying to get something
And
going.
I'm a guy that I like to stick with my teams. Oh, let me get that.
Leaping in front of that
Pick,
one.
man.
Howell said we played about as bad as we can play. which is
Buffalo,
good to know
man.
because
They
were atrocious.
crushed on
In the
Washington.
fourth, Howell scrambling. How about
Back to my
AJ
Broncos.
Vanessa?
Let me get that. Oh, let me get. Oh,
6.
what are you trying?
Bills
To the
crush
house.
Commanders 37-3.
Oh,
Washington's
man,
first
pick
loss
6,
of the
man.
season. Howell 4 picks, sacked 9 times. Here's Jeff Garlington with 1.
Throw a P6, man.
when I talked to Bills quarterback Josh Allen after the game,
that was a drubbing too, but nothing was worse than 70-20, man. The defensive coordinator should have been fired on the field. He shouldn't even have been allowed on a team playing home, man.
Against a Commander's pass rush, there was all the talk.
These fucking Yankees. I'm looking at the bottom line score. Disgusting, man. He gave Aaron Judge all that money. I don't like the pocket watch, but the only reason I'm happy he got paid, of course. But, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve the money, but my thinking of the way the Yankees should have built that team was, you know, you let Aaron Judge go. Because you're paying this man all this money.
Yeah, as Jeff mentioned, this is a showdown in Orchard
he's just
Park.
one man. One man doesn't make a baseball team. Baseball is a team effort, man. Total team effort. Like football is a total team effort. You know, basketball, because it's a 5-on-5 game, you can kind of use, you know, you can kind of ride off one player. Like when it's baseball, it's a team effort. They were supposed to, you know, this is why I want Cashman fired and why I wanted him fired for decades, man. He don't build teams. There's no building a team. The best team they had was the 2000 on what, 8 championship, 2000, whenever they won the championship. Last time they won the championship, when they had CC, you had Pettit and them. You still had the core, but that core started from the Yankees farm system, and then they turned and they developed into, you know, stars and superstars. But this guy, all he does is go after the big names. They have 2 good seasons. I gotta give them the bag. So you giving them the house, and they don't produce. Rodon let us down. I was trying to think of this other guy's name. I was going through the year, the timeline of bad signings from this dude, Kevin Brown, Randy Johnson.
Number 9, David. We
You
expected
getting these guys at the end of their career and you giving them the bag.
Didn't expect Keenan Allen to be involved throwing. He had 18 catches, 215 yards. He also had a 49-yard touchdown pass
like,
to Mike Williams.
He went out and got Jason John. He produced, but then he had the steroid era and all that shit. A-Rob with the steroids, he produced. You got Decky Matsui. That was a good signing. I'm gonna get that shit out of here.
The Sun win. Liberty went 4-0 against the Sun in the regular
Muffed
season.
us. Get that shit out of here.
Game 1 of this best of 5.
You know, you had some good signings. I mean, you're gonna get some good signings, but you never built the team from scratch. Once that you started to build it, once you got Aaron Judge and you got Gary Sanchez
Saints and Packers, who knows how bad
and
the injury is.
Duhar,
Derek
and
Carr
Duhar just got
before he
hurt,
went
couldn't stay on
down.
the field.
Chucking it for
And
Chris Olave.
these guys were producing when they came in the league.
Olave, 5th in the NFL in receiving yards, catches the point of the ball with his right hand.
You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, ever since then, he's just been like trying to buy players.
Number 5, a new low for the
It's
boys
not
from
working,
Mile High
man.
City.
Our
The
pitching
whole top
staff,
10 could have been Miami touchdowns. They had
back
10
to
of
this
them.
Miami
We
shit,
picked the
man.
best. A no-look right-handed shovel pass.
I don't even want to wear my Bronco hoodies
today,
today, man.
Devon Achan.
Unbelievable,
Dolphins
man.
win 70-10.
But the Yankees, man.
At 4, Giants, Dodgers.
Stop.
Mookie
You gotta
Betts,
learn how to
Swiss
build
Army
these
knife,
guys,
plays a really
man.
nice outfield.
And learn how to play
Preston
baseball,
Division
man.
at second, he's back in the outfield.
You're saying
Look
good
at that.
defense,
Mookie, the Dodgers win
solid
with 3-2.
pitching. Stop overworking the fucking
Mookie
bullpen.
Betts.
You know, let your pitchers pitch 6-7 innings, man.
But we've got NHL.
You know, like I said, Joe Torre had a system, man.
He's had an all-time great regular season.
You know what I'm saying? He had special guys for special occasions. Mike Stanton, Jeff Nelson. Stanton for the lefties, Nelson for the righties.
Colton Ravens, Gardner Minshew looking for Michael
Mariano
Pittman
for the
Jr.
setup.
Watch this play.
Wetland for the close. Then when Wetland was gone, it was Mariano for the close. Your starters was always, they always had, you didn't need superstars, you just need great, good players, solid players, above average players. You build a team with players like that know how to situationally hit, that are not always home run hitters, guys that can hit for contact, and you develop these guys in the offseason. What is going on with the
You're a
Yankees
Broncos fan.
staff.
Yeah.
I'm a Cowboys
Read that highlight
fan.
twice.
It was a rough day for the two of us.
On a trade?
I'm looking forward to next week
On a
when
trade?
the Bears and the Broncos, the showdown of these
They'll
two.
beat the fuck out of the
Stoppable
Bears,
force
man.
meets movable objects. We'll talk more about Bills Dolphins over the
These
next week. Get
guys are
Elvis
jokes,
next,
man.
right
That's
here
what I'm
on
saying,
ESPN.
man.
I
We
gotta
paid
read
Russell
this
Wilson
highlight
all
again.
his money.
We're going over to ESPN too.
Yes,
He's
we
fucking.
are.
Come on, man. It wasn't even. I can't really blame him yesterday.
It's time to get up with how about them Cowboys?
Cowboys,
The D
man.
in Big D stands for
You're gonna lose some
Downcast,
games,
which
but
was a bad
you
day
can't
for
lose
the
to
bad
the.
side. Meanwhile,
I mean,
Dak
the Arizona
is whacked.
Cardinals
The
have been
Jets'
looking
dream
alright. They
season
just haven't
turned
closed
into a
out.
Very familiar nightmare, and we've got the one.
You know, they didn't close out, but
Plus,
Cowboys
the
should have won that game.
a new low. Not
But
even
things happen.
Taylor Swift could
It's
write
football
a song
any given
this
Sunday.
sad. We've got all that and a whole lot
Bears,
more.
they look
It's a
terrible.
Monday, let's do this thing. Make some noise.
You know what I'm saying? They invest so much in these unproven quarterbacks. And see, the thing is, when you look at, when you got to design the offense around your quarterback's talents. They're not doing that in Chicago. Develop the offense around the talents. Put pieces around you. They're not putting the pieces around Justin Fields to make him good. Like Lamar Jackson, he was just he took matters in his own hands about it. He was more of a better runner and things like that, so he was more dangerous of an athlete out there. And then Harbaugh started to learn we got to build the offense around him. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid built the offense around Mahomes. In New England, you got to build the offense around the quarterback, what his strengths are, and things like that. And the way you want your style to play and figure out how can we win games with this quarterback. What are the Bears doing? Dallas, they like they ran the ball well, but you know what I'm saying? Like, Dak shouldn't be throwing 27. Dak right now, he should be throwing 25, about 20 to 25 passes. You got Tony Pollard out there. You know what I'm saying? Dak, he's an okay quarterback. I don't have him elite. But it was is when he first came in the league, he was playing for something and wasn't trying to make a lot of mistakes. He took what the defense gave him. Now it's like they made him, they gave him the bag. Oh, he's wide open. Shook him. Shook him again. They just making fun of Denver, man. But yeah, Dak, he was more of a game manager and just didn't make mistakes. And now they expect too much out of him. And let me get that. Who are you throwing it to, though? I'm sorry I can't show y'all the highlights. I don't know how to do all of that stuff yet. I'm working on that.
Y'all put us on top of the world. We know who we are. And that same
his face every time they lose, Dak Prescott, man. Let me get that.
But it's a wake-up call. We knew we had
Throwing
a lot
picks,
of
man, right in the end zone. Like, what are you trying, man? They asking him to do too much. You got a great defense, and you have Tony Pollard running the ball. And one of the things that I see missing in football is fullbacks. And you got to start running the football, man. It's getting back to old football where people are learning. The defenses are catching up to these receivers, except for certain teams like Miami and Patrick Mahomes that got good quarterbacks and got great athletes out there. The defenses are catching up to these offenses, man. You gotta have to start running the football.
To me, that was total disrespect. How do you do that to a
You can't
team
play down to
in the
teams
NFL?
as Michael
Just
Parsons.
admit, they outphysical you. They were the better team that day. And move on.
You don't play down to anybody. This is any given Sunday. These games count.
Well, the honest to God truth is this.
Gee, I'm looking at the bottom line. The Jets. Oh, man, I told my man at work they're not going to make the playoffs. Before the season started, we made a bet. No, he's trolling me about the Broncos. Y'all not going to make it. Give me my money, man. And we going to spank y'all when we play y'all. You're going to have to bench Zach. Zach Wilson's a bum, man.
Every week you need to step up. There is no playing down to anybody in the NFL.
Don't play down to your level of competition, man.
And championship caliber teams approach every game in that
Look at
manner. That's not what the Dallas Cowboys did. And also, too, champions respond. Right? When you get punched in the mouth,
They're not champions, Ryan Clark.
You don't run in the corner. You don't ask your trainer, how do I come out and fight? You get out swinging, and you say, if I'm going to get knocked out, I'm going to get knocked out as me, which means putting your face mask on somebody else. And this is the other part, too. Mike McCarthy, this is his first adversity as a play caller. This is his first time having to play
Run
a team
the
or being
football.
in a situation where our defense isn't dominating. We
Got a
aren't
good
getting short
defense.
fields. We
Run the ball.
points ourselves. Go do something.
Give the
And
ball to your
that's not-
playmakers,
if
man.
You know who you guys are. You be the leader that gets y'all to the championship. You be the leader that changes things. This can be a wake-up call for the Dallas Cowboys, but only if they learn lessons. If not, they're in trouble.
We talked about rest.
Moving one game?
Everyone's been lauding the Dallas Cowboys on defense. All they got is ferocious pass rush. When you know what neutralizes a ferocious pass rush, you punch somebody in the damn mouth. And that's exactly what the Arizona Cardinals did to the Dallas Cowboys on defense.
Took off and
It's
go.
hard for Michael Parsons to go off when you got 300 pounders leaning on you the whole game. And you know what's going to happen? Every other team
Fake
is going to say,
handoff.
this is what we got to do, because it's a copycat league.
Yeah.
Teams are going to look at what the Arizona Cardinals did, and they're going to try to do the exact same thing. Run the damn ball against the Dallas Cowboys defense, and don't allow them to tee off on you. Well,
The Saints blew that game. They was up 17-zip, man. I turned around. It was
I
18-17.
knew the Arizona Cardinals could, because the Arizona Cardinals aren't going to try to do anything
I lost
else.
all my
The
money
Arizona
on
Cardinals know
DraftKings,
Joshua Dobbs
man.
at quarterback. This is what we are. We have a quarterback.
I do
that can
good
use
on
his
college
legs.
football.
We have a
I think I'm
James
gonna stick to
Conner,
college
we got
football,
tailback
man.
and James Conner that's going to get downhill, that's going to play physical, that's going to give us energy. And they did those things. But on top of that, it was, okay, let's see which team tightens up if this game gets
Any
close.
given Sunday,
You know
man.
what happens when you're supposed to win a championship? What happens when
Any given
everybody's
Sunday.
saying you're this and you're that, and this
But I
is
know
finally
one
the
thing for
year?
sure. My
When
man
the
will
game
give me my
gets
money
close
at the end
and
of the
you're
season.
playing
They're not
against
going to make the
somebody that's not
playoffs, the
playing,
Jets.
things tighten up. Right, and I ain't talking about hamstring.
Texans went in Jacksonville and beat the brakes off of the Jaguars. C.J. Stroud looks all right.
The best of teams fall back.
Everybody had Jacksonville looking good this year, but they don't. I think they're gonna be okay. You know, they're just a team that's still trying to figure out who they really are. They're like one of those other kind of gritty teams that, you know, they keep the games close and they win at the end, like the Detroit Lions. Like they're like a Detroit Lions in the AFC East, in the AFC South.
Both those teams are physical, and they're looking at this going, they're still the
It's
same
just
old
one
Cowboys.
game,
Like,
guys.
Last year, we saw Philly just beat the heck out of them by doing exactly that.
Yeah, it's just one game.
Yeah, I think so. Is he part of the running game? Yeah, I think so. Is that offensive line?
Chargers and Vikings.
Come on, we're going to move you off this line of scrimmage just like we always do. Right. And so, to me, that's it. So, and
Somebody had to win that game.
This injury is devastating to Dallas.
Trayvon
Diggs' injury
And,
is absolutely devastating to him.
Yeah, that was a
because
devastating
they
injury.
Can't play all that man coverage they want.
Yeah, you can't play man coverage and just send dudes.
All right, so
Now you got to kind of drop back a little bit because
you
don't have a lockdown corner like Diggs on the other side. Makes a point there, but it's just one game.
They're going to say, or they're going to listen to us and go, it's only one game. Well, it's actually
Just
not
said
one
that,
game.
man.
Because when you're the Dallas Cowboys, it's about how do we win a Super Bowl. We're not talking about this team as a playoff contender. We're not talking about this team as an NFC East champion. The reason that you bring up San Francisco and the Philadelphia Eagles is because in order to be everything they're supposed to be, those are the teams they have to be. And you know how the league works, D-Wood. When I start watching this film, because at some point, I'm going to have to play the Arizona Cardinals. And when I'm watching the Arizona Cardinals play against the Dallas Cowboys, I'm going, this it?
Yeah.
Right? Like this is your king?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
this is
it's
who-
common sense.
this
They
is
do
who
lose
you're
to
bringing
teams
out
that
to play against us.
run the
And if you're
football.
San Francisco, and if you're the Philadelphia Eagles,
If
for
you can
2
run the
weeks,
football,
you're
you can beat the
three of us
Cowboys.
in this race. Right now, you're feeling really good that the Dallas Cowboys may not be a part of that if they don't make changes.
I don't have them as a Super Bowl contender anyway, but they just need something to talk
That's
about.
what we've seen this year. Red zone prompt.
Yeah.
So you're going to zero in on the Cowboys.
Whatever happened to Dak Prescott as a runner? That's where he needs to show up, is in the red zone.
What did I just say a minute ago?
Touchdown. Go.
He was a game manager, and now they're trying to turn him into a star. They're trying to make him. He's not an elite quarterback, man.
Josh Allen is the way, you know,
My fam tried to tell me the way he plays as an elite quarterback because they're forcing him to be. They gave him the bag like he's an elite quarterback, and he's not an elite quarterback.
Well, part of the reason, maybe it seems to me that he has run a lot less since he got hurt. That one time that he got hurt running with the ball. Let me just very quickly make
They want these guys because they still want these guys to be traditional quarterbacks, sit in the pocket and just make plays. That's not the league anymore, man. The league is about getting out of the pocket, breaking the defense down, making the defense change, and getting the defense in disarray and making plays. Your quarterback has to be a playmaker. Dak is not a playmaker.
You win the Super Bowl. Not like that.
Jalen Hurts is more of a playmaker. Patrick Mahomes is a playmaker.
Everybody's going to look at it as
Joe Burrow can make plays.
This has been a story that has been building. This is a narrative that they're creating.
Lamar Jackson's a playmaker. Deshaun Watson's a playmaker. These guys can. You got to be a dual threat out there, man. My man Elway, back in the days, was a dual threat. He was a playmaker, man. The team on his back, man. Like, he'll take off on you, man. Like, you got to be able to make plays because a quarter. Joe Montana was a playmaker, man. Steve Young. Your quarterback needs to be a playmaker. Tom Brady, like I said, if your quarterback's not a playmaker, you have to be. Your coaching staff has to know how to build a team around you. So now you build the playmakers around the quarterback.
We're not going to win that. We're not going to win that battle today. If I'm a defense and I'm playing against Joshua Dobbs,
you gotta play your strengths. Like when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, even the Denver Broncos, when they won the Super Bowl and beat Carolina Panthers. At that time, Cam Newton was a playmaker.
You're supposed to do it.
The Denver Broncos knew we had a great defense, and we're gonna run the football. And Peyton Manning's on his last leg. All we need him to do is make plays at the right time. That's it. Same thing with the Baltimore Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. They never had a prolific quarterback, but their quarterback knew how to make plays when it counted, and they relied mostly on defense and the running game.
We failed.
Gotta run the football,
man. It's a different thing going forward in that locker room. Absolutely. Everybody understands
gotta run the football,
we gotta be better.
But I wanted to briefly talk about boxing, man. I wanted to, really talk about this topic with
you know what, Dak? But he should. I'm telling you.
These niggas gonna keep talking about Dallas all damn day, man. I want to talk about this Frank Martin Shakur Stevenson thing, man. So. He's calling him a duck. People are calling him a duck, just to play devil's advocate, right? They say he even came out. He didn't make the case too good, Frank Martin. You could tell he's not good with talking. Stephen A. laughing at Dallas, but he's not a good talker. And it's very hard to get on, these things and talk, to the world. The world is watching us, man, and they're watching us anyway. So, surveillance everywhere. Everything's under surveillance out here. So, but he's not really a great talker. You can tell he's not really built for the cameras. And in his interview, he said the bag wasn't right. So now people gonna pocket watch him and say, hey, you only made $75,000. When you fought this guy and Michelle Rivera, then you made $200,000 in your last fight. So they're offering you $1 million for this fight, and you didn't take it because you're saying, well, I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that. The million ain't $1 million, which he's right. 200,000 was a 200,000 for you. Hold on, they're going back to my Broncos, man. Let me see what the fuck these guys are saying.
Winning drive, we got Tua. Rex, where is the coverage?
There's no coverage, man.
Well, it ain't there in Denver.
What the fuck was he doing back there? I'm sorry, guys. What was he doing wide open? Ain't chill. Oh, that's disgusting, man. I'm sorry. I gotta go. Look at the shovel pass, man. It's disgusting, man.
ton of attention. And now we got Tua Tagovailoa with the Magic Johnson flip for the touchdown to A-Chain.
Tua 16 of 16 for 206.
I'm sorry, I had to
in
go
the
back to
first
this, man.
half. And then it's Raheem Mostert. He had an unbelievable career yesterday.
Oh my God, man. This is disgusting, man. The fumbles, man. Russ Wilson doesn't have any playmakers around him, man. Jerry Judy's a disaster. The defense, I don't know where the pride is in defense. You should have signed that guy as the head coach, man. This payback is a bitch. Boy, that's you. Shook him. Oh, got one. Touchdown. Damn, man. That's embarrassing, man, to lose like that, man.
49-13, fourth quarter. Another shovel.
Listen, they just started playing games now. Now we're just having a good time.
They went out there and played street football and beat the brace off of them. I just want to hear what they got to say about my Broncos, man. 0-3. I got to go to work and hear this shit all day, man.
Why?
We're not trying to go out there and humiliate teams. You know, that's just what it happened to look like.
Okay, so the numbers are the numbers.
They weren't doing
726
Jesus Christ,
yards,
man.
most by any team in the NFL since 1951. There's 70 points, most by a team since 1966. 130 FBS teams played this weekend. None of them scored as many points as the Dolphins did on Sunday.
Do you know what's crazy?
What?
There is a quarterback that wasn't Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
That should probably be the Jets starting quarterback right now.
Yeah.
That threw a 70-yard touchdown against the Denver Broncos. And that was Mike White.
Yeah.
They had backups scoring touchdowns for the Miami Dolphins.
disgusting, man.
I'm gonna be honest, and I don't believe it's hyperbole. This is the most explosive offense we've seen since the greatest show on turf. And that's even with Kansas City's Tyreek Hills and all of those different things. There is so much speed on this field, and I believe that Mike McDaniel is so creative in the way he creates openings for these people and the empowerment of Tua Tagovailoa. Tua has always been
Shall they
extremely
put
accurate.
pieces around
He's
Tua?
always been extremely skilled in going through progressions and processing.
He
is
shook the
on
life
an
out of him.
entirely
That was
different
embarrassing,
level. And
man.
what Tyreek Hill said, which still, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the world. What Tyreek Hill said when he got there is like, Tua is ultimately accurate. Maybe more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. It's not as
Your
funny
fucking
now
mind, man.
when we're seeing what he's able to do.
Greeny, let me tell you something. These guys can speak to it as well. There's nothing scarier than facing speed. The Dolphins have literally a 4x1 track team out there. And so when you got a mad scientist and Mike McDaniel who knows how to design these things, and you're getting all of these track athletes out there, you know what it does? It puts everybody on their heels. Every time the Dolphins go out there on
Gotta hit them. Yo, you gotta be physical with them, man. Get on the line of scrimmage, man. And bang, man.
Did we mention they played that game without Jalen Waddle? So they played that game without arguably their second best weapon. That said, it takes two to tango. So, Reg, the Dolphins, brilliant. Take nothing away. How about the Denver defense?
What defense? They played yesterday?
You know what's funny? Like, I'm sitting here, like, are you
See,
kidding me?
defensive
That
coordinator.
could have been me there, and it, like literally, maybe they
Sean
should have
Payton
only
said
got
last
the little.
year.
Sorry,
you know,
guys.
Sean Payton said last year that was maybe the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL.
What about
Now
this
he
right
gave
here?
70 points.
so they-
You can't run your fucking mouth like that.
You think? Hey, I mean,
Not in half a season.
I mean, I gave up 45 one game. It felt like we got our living heck beat out of it.
What do we say about that?
No, it's just brutal. Like I see it as absolutely a disgrace. And when you're sitting back out there, how do you face your team? Knowing, look, we can say what we want, whether it's me or somebody else. I mean, this is an absolute disaster. Nobody saw this coming. This defense literally was supposed to be a top 5 defense in the league, and maybe number 1 with the right guy running it. But this is an absolute embarrassment. I don't disagree that Mike McDaniel's done an amazing job. All right, and the creativity and all that. Thing I'm most impressed with is how he's kept Tua upright.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Their uniforms are white. The only time the uniforms got dirty is when they went and celebrated.
All right, and now guess what he's doing? Running the football. I thought the Miami Dolphins couldn't run the football. I thought they were in the Dalvin Cook sweepstakes. Well, what happened? They got two guys right here
Yeah.
that can run it. So I definitely give this guy credit. But on the other
Run
side of it,
the
that's
football.
the worst defense. I've only been on the planet for 60 years, never seen anything that bad.
When you watch this defense, it goes to institutional control, which is the head coach's job, right? It's let's not worry about how many babies Russell Wilson kisses.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about his public persona and how he plays. Let's not worry about being the Fox analyst and coming back out and talking about what Nathaniel Hackett did.
Right.
I said it at that time. Talk about what we're going to do. Talk about
Absolutely.
how we are going to get better. And we, for a head coach, is offense. It's special teams. It's defense. Sean Payton was worried about all of the wrong things in the offseason. And we gave him a pass because he'd won a Super Bowl. We gave him a pass because we felt like he was a good coach and had proven everything he needed to prove during his tenure in New Orleans. They're getting worse. And right now, when
they
you
got
play
worse.
the Miami Dolphins, you understand
At least their
what you're
defense
stepping
played
into the
tough
stadium
last
to
year.
do.
Their
So as
defense
a
kept them in a
team,
lot of
you play
games
that
last
ball.
year.
10 seconds, go.
Okay.
10.
The Denver defense has given up 16 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They forced 5 punts this year.
5 punts.
Are you absolutely kidding me?
Yeah.
So an absolute
defensive
disaster.
coordinator
It
should be
ain't
fired,
Russell
man.
Wilson.
Right.
Yeah, it
whatever.
ain't Russell's now.
Somebody else.
It's very low on their list of problems. Meanwhile,
Jets.
speaking of problems, after another offensive dud, is it time for the Jets to pivot their plan at quarterback?
Got to get rid of Wilson. He's a bum, man. Justin Fields, like I said, they're not building the team around him, man. The offense is not designed. They want him to sit in the pocket. It's not his game. You gotta design an offense around him. But anyway, I wanted to get back to this Frank Martin thing, man. I'm sorry, guys, man. And Shakur Stevenson. So, yeah, man. Frank, he didn't make a good case in his argument to say he wasn't ducking, the money wasn't right. But my question is, like I said, I don't know anything about boxing as far as, how things go, the insides and things like that, because I'm not, I don't have no connections. I'm not into boxing, and stuff like that. I just watch the sports. I just watch sports, man. And, as a kid, I did play sports. We played everything. We played soccer. We played floor hockey. I played football. I played baseball. I ran track. All this was, when I was a little kid. But, bottom line was I was athletic as a kid. Played, basketball a little bit. We learned how to play every sport. I wasn't a lacrosse player like that. I didn't know how to really play lacrosse. But, we went to school. We played sports. I might have been on 2 teams my whole life, but, we played sports. Boxing. I wasn't, as a kid, I watched boxing. I started to try to learn how to box a little bit, after I had a couple of fights in school that didn't go my way. As a little kid, I used to watch my cousins and shit, slap box and stuff, and I started picking up, how to really protect myself and, shoot my hands better, And, I was always one of those kids that, I wasn't no punk, but I was scared to really get into a fight because I didn't want to lose. I got in a few fights, but, I was more of I picked something up, when I was a kid, but I will fight you if I have to. Sometimes, my friends used to make me fight outside. So, but long story short, forget all of that. I was, like, when it comes to Frank Martin, I don't know the ins and outs of contracts and things like that in boxing, but I'm pretty sure that these two guys are in 2 different networks. And when you look at, you got 2 different networks from my history and what I see. To cross over and fight another fighter from a different network, it has to make financial sense. That fight at this moment doesn't make sense because neither one of those guys have a big following. Shakur, people know who Shakur is. He has a bigger name than Frank Martin, but he's not a pay-per-view fighter yet, Shakur. So in order for those guys to cross over, it's going to be some money exchange, and if it's not it has to be a pay-per-view fight for them to do that. That fight's not big enough yet. So it's not making any sense, the stories. And this is how Frank Martin, to me, should have explained it. Like, first of all, how did Top Rank send you an offer? You have a promoter, Man Down Promotions, under PBC and Showtime. So did they send the contracts? Was anything, that who made these terms? Top Rank is representing Shakur Stevenson, and their network is ESPN. Their Bob Arum is running Top Rank. So who sent him the contract? You see, you gotta tell the story, Frank. To me, I feel like you should have, got more in depth in the story. Who sent these contracts out to you for it to not be fair, and for you to say I'm gonna agree to these terms or whatever. Like did they send the contract to your management team? You looked at it and said, nah, I ain't, because I would thought that it would go through the promotion teams, when Spence and Crawford were negotiating. Like Crawford, he tried to negotiate through Spence, but he got to negotiate through Al Heyman. Like that's who's representing on PBC. I mean, you gotta go through those guys. He couldn't just go through Spence and say, hey, let's do it. Spence could say, yeah, I want to do that, but how's he gonna fight if the network and the promotion team is not sanctioning it and not sponsoring it? So, what was the who sent the contract? What was in the contract? And how did the contract get to Frank Martin? Where's his representation saying? Because he should have had his representatives say, look, that contract wasn't right. We trying to get this man, a nice bag to fight Shakur. Because you got to think about it like this. One, that fight is not a big fight. So, say he goes to Top Rank and fight without their permission, that's breach contract. They're gonna get the bag home. They're gonna take his purse and probably do. That purse is gonna get dismantled if he did that. That's one thing. The second thing is the fight is not a big fight to be pay-per-view. So say he went over there to fight on a regular, that's not worth it. To send, and he's an underdog in that fight. We all know that. Shakur's gonna be the favorite. So you putting Frank Martin is still he's just getting out of that prospect mode where they're trying to develop him into a star, and to put him in there with Shakur, that's too much of a big step to me for him at this moment. Not saying that he doesn't have a chance. I think it'll be a great fight. I think he'll push Shakur to certain limits, but I think Shakur right now is maybe a little bit a degree above him right now. And Shakur doesn't have the biggest name, so he's still, trying to get to that superstar level. Frank Martin, so now if this was an in-house fight, I can understand it'd be more understandable. But I'm just a little confused on the contract situation. Who was it? A term sheet was sent, and then who was it sent to? That it went past PBC and because from what I'm hearing and listening to a lot of people, and trying to understand is, fighters don't send contracts. The promotion teams and and stuff, they send the contracts, especially when you're represented by them. So I'm sure Shakur's represented by not Al Heyman, Bob Arum, who sent the contract to who. And what was on the contract. And how did it get to Frank Martin? Did it go through PBC and them first? And the fight to me is not a big fight for two networks especially for Frank Martin to throw your one of your top prospects or or one of your guys that's up and coming to turn into a superstar, to throw him into a fight with Shakur Stevenson, who many people believe is one of the best pound fighters in the world. So he takes that loss. Y'all don't make no money out of this dude now for a long time. Now you got to start Frank Martin back from scratch. You know what I'm saying? And rebuild his name, especially depending on how he loses. If he loses bad, you're going to have to build this guy back up. And, you know, right now he's at a stage where he can fight another decent fighter. Like, I would throw him in there with somebody like a Pitbull Cruz. A guy that, you know what I'm saying, will give him a tough fight. And, you know, he should win that fight. You know, so that way you build his confidence more, and not only that, you know, you building his name. Now you get him in there with a guy with a name that's Mexican, and you start to build the fan base and build his name more. You know, by, you know, having him fight, you know, different nationalities, and that have fan bases. So now people see him, and then Pitbull Cruz has a decent sized name to the point where, you know, they can sell some tickets and make some money out of the fight, and he's an in-house fighter. You know, that fight will make sense. You know, because of all these networks and promotion companies, this is how boxing is today. You know, you gotta you know what I'm saying, in order to make these crossover fights, I think that you should you know, these are going to be mostly pay-per-view fights, man. You know, they're not in-house fights. So I don't understand, like, I don't think it would have been a wise business move to throw you know, Frank Martin in there with a Shakur Stevenson. You know, that's a really good fight, and, you know, as a fan, we want to see it. And as a fan, we'll say, yeah, man, you know, he ducked him, and, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a business-wise. I don't think that was a wise decision to even, you know, to entertain. You know, and fighters going to say what they need to say, but I don't think the fighters are the ones negotiating these contracts. They just getting the contract, you know what I'm saying? The networks are the ones making sure, all right, they're looking at the numbers. So when we look at the numbers, and you look at the fan bases, you gotta look at the numbers, man. Like, and you say, hey, Shakur, you know, you're not really a pay-per-view star. Frank Martin, to bring Frank Martin from another network, you know, there's gonna be some concessions probably, because Shakur is gonna be the A side. You know, PBC is gonna have to make some concessions, and their fighter's not a big enough fighter for them to do that yet, because he doesn't have the numbers, and the fighter is going to be an underdog. So we're trying to build this fighter into a superstar, and then we're going to throw him to the wolves before he even, you know what I'm saying, and he doesn't have the experience yet. And then now he takes this loss. It's a setback in his career, and now we have to rebuild this man's name back up. You know what I'm saying? When we had him almost at that point where we can start making him a pay-per-view fighter. He's only a fight away from that. But Shakur and him, I think, to me, that fight should happen maybe in end of 2024, maybe 2025. You know, like, we need to see Shakur. I need to see Shakur in there with a, maybe put Shakur in there with somebody like I don't know what network William Cepeda is, that kid Cepeda. Or they say Edwin DeSantos, they might put him in there with that kid. That DeSantos kid. You know, somebody, you know, saying like a good in-house fight, or the undefeated, or they're saying undefeated, you know, up-and-coming fighter, and let him beat him, or let him fight Lomachenko. That will make a pay-per-view fight. Because Lomachenko has a fan base, and Shakur has a decent fan base, you know, and this would build Shakur's fan base now. You see how Devin Haney, he built his fan base. to become a pay-per-view fighter. You know, he took some concessions, crossed over. He's his own. Eddie Hearn was his promoter. Then he left Eddie Hearn. He became a free agent, and then he was able to go over there and build himself in Top Rank. Now he's back to being a free agent. You know, so, you know, like, we got to see what his next move is. What, Regis Prograis? So Devin Haney's different. He's a free agent. You know, but I just think that he didn't Frank Martin didn't really explain. You know, somebody needs to explain the business side. Like, I like listening to the brother manager Marty explain the business side of boxing, and you know, break things down. But it's just like, I just was like, you know, trying to figure out like how he turned down the money, and he's saying, yeah, I got the money, but like, did they go through the promotion teams? Like, was it a deal with the promoters and it wasn't enough money for you? You should have went to your promoter instead of turning it down. Or where was it, a term sheet that was sent over? Because I'm like, you know, how was this fight? My thing was, the big question I have is, how was this fight going to happen in 2 different networks? And Frank Martin is not a big name at all in his network. He's building his name. And Shakur is a big name in his network, but he's not big enough. He's not a pay-per-view star yet. So was this fight going to be a pay-per-view fight, or was it going to be a regular fight? How much concessions was Showtime and PBC going to make this fight? And why would they do that when the fighter that they're talking about is going to be a heavy underdog in this fight? And 9 out of 10, he's probably going to lose the fight, and then you're going to have to rebuild this guy back up. You know, when we already have him at a certain level where he's like a fight or 2 away from being a superstar, then you can say, all right, now this makes more sense to make the Shakur fight, because say he beats a Pitbull Cruz, or he fights a Cepeda, somebody like that, and he beats them, like, you know what I'm saying, talking about Frank Martin, then you can say it makes more sense for this fight to happen. But to make the fight, try to make a fight like that happen now, it's like they just throwing names out there. It's like, come on, Shakur, you know, he should have went after Lomachenko. I know he's trying to get the Lomachenko. They probably don't want to put Lomachenko in there with him. They know it's gonna happen, but you know, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, they like, Shakur is one of, he's a fight away from being a mega superstar. And I don't, you know what I'm saying, like, he has to, I think he needs to get out of Top Rank and go to PBC, where he's going to get the bigger fights and get the bigger paydays. But, you know, that's just my opinion on that. And I'm watching the Jets. Zach Wilson the problem for the Jets? So we're going back to football. Reading the bottom line there, watching Get Up, and this man was 3 of 12 for 29 yards, sacked 3 times when pressured. I'm gonna say this again: build the offense around the quarterback, put the talent around him. Just about trying to tell my man they're not going to make the playoffs. You're relying too much on one player. They relied on Aaron Rodgers. We got Aaron Rodgers, man, and yes, Aaron Rodgers, if he would have been there, they would have been a better team offensively, because but if you have an offensive line that can't block, Aaron Rodgers has been a sitting duck back there too. They would have still been struggling. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, because of the offensive line, and because they don't have a real, like, who's your running back, man? Like, they can't run the football. They don't have they're not calling the right running plays. You know what I'm saying, you got a quarterback like Zach Wilson who can run, start designing the offense around running the football. They're not doing that. You can't just hand off the football and think, oh, we're just gonna run the football, just hand it off and They can stop if guys don't respect your quarterback. They're gonna line up on that line of scrimmage and stop the run now, or they're gonna come after the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So you have to call plays to get this guy in motion. I would have Zach Wilson running around more. Run him. Stop trying to make these guys traditional quarterbacks that are not. Especially when you see he can't sit in the pocket, he gets nervous when the pressure's on him. He's throwing the football to the floor. He's give him, you know what I'm saying, design an offense better for him. You know, get him out of the pocket more. You know, start running some you know, saying some trap plays with a fullback. You know, if they even have a fullback, you know, but you know, saying like run the football a little bit differently, man. Option plays, you know, you gotta change the offense to suit the quarterback you have, and then you know once you get to start, because they're too predictable. Once you can do stuff like that and you just start designing the offense around the quarterback, you know what I'm saying, that's gonna help your skill players get more chances to, you know, create, you know, once they get the football, get more one-on-one options and things like that. Because now they like, all right, when you look at Philly, nobody thought Jalen Hurts was going to be a great quarterback, and they designed an offense around him by running the football. And when he does drop back, he can get out of the pocket. They allow him to get out the pocket, and he has the playmakers and receiver that can get open, that can make plays. So he doesn't have to try to be the hero. With Zach Wilson, you're just dropping him back. He's not a drop back quarterback. This is what I said about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's another one. He's not a drop back quarterback. He's gonna sit in the pocket and just make plays and pick you apart. Tom Brady can do that. Joe Burrow can do that. Pat Mahomes can do that. Aaron Rodgers can do that. Russell Wilson he's a player that can scramble, and he creates plays with his legs. You know, Russell Wilson is a scrambler. He can run. I mean, not Russell Wilson, I'm talking about Zach Wilson. He can run, and he can make, you know, so I don't know if he can make plays, but he can run with the football. Put him in that position where he's running the football more and getting out of the pocket, and he can create more. Where the game, you know what I'm saying, where the defense can break down, and then he can start seeing the field to make plays, and he'll probably become a better quarterback. But if you're just dropping him back, this is going to keep happening. But I hope they keep dropping them back, because like I said, I got to bet. I need them to not make the playoffs, man. And it's looking good right now. But anyways, I'm out, man. You know, just felt like, you know, talking a little sports this morning, man. You know, I'll holler back at y'all, man. That's when I get the out of it.